When creating this drawing, you will need to use some standard drafting scales that were set up by the American Society of Mechanical Engineers in cooperation with the American National Standards Institute. So there are some basic drafting scales for creating drawings, and then there are those same scales are used for our viewports. So we try to follow those and keep it standard as close as possible. So I have already made a couple of changes, but let's take a look. You would double click in your viewport, and if you zoom in and out with your wheel, it will change the scale. So we'll lock that scale, that viewport scale, in just a moment. So just click on the scale down here, and you'll notice I have a whole lot more listed. These are the metric ones, more listed than the standard AutoCAD drawing that comes up out of the box, as we say. So we'll pick custom, and to turn on these extra scales, which are metric, but they are a little easier to understand. Oddly enough, AutoCAD uses architectural scales for their mechanical drawing setup, and the only thing I can surmise is that they are a bit easier to understand, but for me these are a little easier, and they are kind of universal. This particular drawing here really requires a 3/4 scale. So let's take a look. AutoCAD now allows you to turn on percentages. So if we click on percentage and look again, we can see we've got 100, 50%, 25%. So there's 1 to 4, 1 to 5. So it's simple. 1 divided by 5 would be 20, so forth. But we need like a 3/4, which would be 75%. So somewhere between here is what we need. We look at our architectural scales, and we've got everything from a 0.07%, which is occasionally used on an architectural drawing, and it goes up from there. Now that's 0.78. That's not 75%. That's 0.78%. So it's a great reduction, because architectural drawings are huge, and we're trying to reduce them down by a large amount. So we get on up here to, there's 25%, 3 inches equals a foot. Here's 25%, 1 to 4. So either one of those would work if you were after a 25% scaling. Once again, we can go up to 50%. 6 inches equals 1 foot. That's easy to understand. Then it jumps to 100%. So once again, we're missing that 3/4 scale. This is how you set it up, so you have a 3/4 scale, which is a standard scale in AutoCAD, in the drafting standards. So we just, once we have turned on all the scales, which you can click to do that, click Reset, and click on Metric and Imperial Scales. Okay, so that turns on all of these. Then we go to Add. Name appearing in the scale list. we will actually just list it as 3/4 of an inch equals 1 inch. Okay, the amount of paper units will equal paper units of 0.75, you don't have to put an inch mark, equals the drawing units of 1 unit, which would be inches. That establishes that as a 75% reduction. Okay, we click OK. Now we go back to our list. We can see there it is listed for us. 3/4 of an inch equals an inch, which is 75%. Turn your percentages on here to see it as percentages. So I'm going to choose that, and you see it slightly changes, just ever so small. Some of you may ask, or may be asking yourself, well, why change it at all? It was just a slight movement. Well, to make the viewport in the drawing adhere to drafting standards, that's what you would do to set the custom scale. This will work, as you may have seen, as a full scale drawing, properly positioned. Pan the drawing around by pressing on your wheel and getting it in position. So it will work and fit as a full scale drawing. There will be some drawings that will not fit, and you'll need a special scale or a standard scale that's not listed, which is 3/4 of an inch equals an inch. And that is how you create, quote, custom scales that are not listed, but they are standard drafting scales.